First on the list is Frostmourne. This is a sword from World of Warcraft. It's a 1-to-1 scale replica of the Lich King's infamous weapon. It represents my love for World of Warcraft, but it also represents the type of character that I played in the game, known as a Death Knight. This is Black Suit Superman from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Superman would have to be my favorite DC Universe character. I also really enjoyed Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman, and the black suit iteration I thought was quite cool, so I thought I'd pick up a piece reflecting that. It is quite rare, this piece. It's about, I think it's 1 in 1,000, so it's quite a rare piece. It is a quarter scale, so a quarter the size of a real human or real Superman. This is Chadwick Boseman's portrayal of Black Panther. Black Panther would have to be my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe character. I really enjoyed Chadwick Boseman's portrayal as well, and I think this piece is pretty epic. It has a lot of presence. As you can see, he's sort of mounted on top of a vibranium carving there. Yeah, this piece is pretty rare. I think it's 1 in 2,500, and it does come with a swap out portrait with the mask, and similarly Henry Cavill's Superman also comes out with a swap out facial portrait with laser eyes. And here is my Last of Us themed shelf. There's Joel from part 2 of the game, the older version of Joel. This statue stands around 14 inches tall. It's 1 of 2,500, so it is quite limited. I have some decor from the collector's edition, as well as the DVD in hard copy. And here is Ellie. This is also a part 2 Ellie. She's about 12.5 to 13 inches. This particular piece is actually from the collector's edition of the game, not a separate piece. Last of Us would have to be probably my favorite story-based game of all time in terms of single-player story, so that's why I've got a whole shelf for it. Just below my Last of Us themed shelf, I have a bunch of media which represent some of my favorite movies and TV shows of all time, from Lord of the Rings and Gladiator all the way through to more modern takes such as Zack Snyder's Justice League and Man of Steel. Here we have a 1/4 scale Rick Grimes from the Walking Dead series. Rick Grimes is my favorite character from the series, and the series itself is probably one of my favorite, or if not my favorite, TV show of all time, particularly the first 5 or 6 seasons. This particular iteration of Rick is from season 5, when he's at his peak, in my opinion, in terms of his performance and his strength. And this Rick is actually quite rare. He's only 1 in 400, so it's quite hard to get a hold of him. So just to the left of Rick Grimes at the bottom here, I've got 2 additional pieces. This is, in the middle we have Connor from Assassin's Creed 3. Connor would probably have to be my second favorite assassin, or perhaps third, behind Ezio and Altair. Assassin's Creed is pretty dear to me as well. I started playing it when I was in primary school, so it's pretty close and dear to my heart. That particular statue is from the collector's edition of Assassin's Creed 3. To the left here, I've got a statue from the Dying Light universe. Dying Light, I've sunk a lot of hours into, that's for sure. It's one of my favorite zombie games, and as it's quite unique, it's got a really cool day-night system and parkour system. And this statue also lights up in the dark. So shown here are 2 pieces. One on the left is a medallion from one of the World of Warcraft collector's editions. I think it was Battle for Azeroth. I'm displaying there the Alliance lion face, as opposed to the other side of the coin, which has a horde symbol. I did play Alliance in the game, and as such, I'm a big fan of Alliance. I'm also a big fan of World of Warcraft in general. It's one of my favorite games of all time, particularly computer games as opposed to console games. And I've sunk many hours into it and had many good memories on it. This particular statue here is fairly new to my collection. It is the War Within collector's piece. It is a gold iteration of a dwarf mounting a griffin. And that is pretty significant to me because I've played Alliance, and dwarves represent Alliance, as do the griffins. So here I've got Thor's hammer from the God of War Ragnarok collector's edition. This is a probably 1-to-1 or perhaps half scale piece, depending on if you're comparing it to a normal human or a Greek god. but it is pretty cool. It's beautifully made, and it represents my love for God of War as well as mythology. So this is Achilles, particularly from the Troy movie. As you can see, it sort of matches what Brad Pitt's Achilles wore in the film. This represents my favorite movie of all time. I do believe that Troy is probably my favorite movie, perhaps second to Gladiator or Kingdom of Heaven, but it definitely is right up there. It also just represents love for history as well as my Greek heritage. This is a 1/4 scale and is a very rare piece. In fact, it's the rarest piece in my collection. It is 1 in 100, so it's very, very hard to get your hands on this. Here we have JD Phoenix from Gears of War 4 mounting a motorbike. We also have, just below his knee there, a medallion from the Gears of War 3 Collector's Edition that says Coalition of Ordered Governments, aka the COG. Gears of War is one of my favorite video games of all time. It's probably my favorite console multiplayer game because I'm actually pretty good at it. Not quite perfect, but I'm definitely up there, above average. And yeah, I also just love the story of the game. This particular piece, as I said, is from the Gears 4 Collector's Edition. It's not the piece that I would choose to have if I had one Gears piece. I would love to have a Marcus Phoenix piece, or someone more significant as opposed to JD. But yeah, we'll get there eventually, perhaps with the new game that's coming out in the next year or two. The Master Chief here on my shelf. Master Chief is such an iconic character. He's the face of Xbox and he's one of my favorite characters of all time. Halo as a series is one of my favorite video game series of all time. It's near and dear to my heart. I started playing it when I was very young. And yeah, I definitely have to have something Halo in my collection. I would like a bigger Halo piece. So that statue there is only 10 inches tall, I think. And it's not particularly rare. It is just a PVC piece as opposed to some of these larger quarter scale poly stone or stone resin pieces. But yeah, one day I might upgrade to a larger Master Chief, we'll see. So this is Kylo Ren from the Star Wars universe. I do really like Star Wars. I'm not a huge fan compared to some others out there, but I do really like it, particularly the more modern movies. Kylo Ren as well is I think he's a really cool character conceptually. I also love the way he duels. He's a brawler when it comes to lightsaber battling. And I love his like voice changer thing. But yeah, this is about I think it's a 1/7 piece, 1/7 scale I should say. And yeah, it's a pretty cool addition. So there's a few things going on here. We've got Hobbiton. That's a small iteration of Bag End. I actually bought that from Weta Workshop in New Zealand, so it's quite special. Just sitting on top of a flag there is the ring, the one ring. I actually took that ring to where they film Mordor in New Zealand. And that flag is actually a flag of Rohan, which I flew on top of Mount Sunday where they filmed Rohan, so that's pretty significant. Behind it all is a painting from Return of the King, showing King Theoden leading the Rohirrim into the Battle of the Plain of Fields to save Gondor. That particular scene in film is probably one of my favorite film scenes of all time. It gives me goosebumps every time I watch it. Yes, I'm a massive nerd. Here we've got a piece of Lego, which I thought was pretty cool. Caitlin and I built it for fun. And here is a Total War catapult. Came with the Total War Collector's Edition. And it represents my love for Roman history and like Roman, based strategy games or just strategy games in general. And here I've got a gel blaster. So that's it, that's my statue collection as it currently stands. I've been collecting slowly across my whole life. I picked up some of the bigger pieces in recent times. But yeah, I do enjoy the hobby and I intend to get more in the future. My plan is to sort of have a statue themed wall in my future house. So as you can see, that takes up about half the wall. The other half obviously in a different house, but the other half I do want to have all filled with statues as well. So perhaps a third shelf there, and just have this feature wall of all the favorite video games and TV show and movie characters, all the things that I love. Because ultimately at the end of the day, I am a pretty symbolic type person, so I like to have physical representations of things that I like. It's not enough for me just to watch that media. I actually like to have something tangible. And yes, that is a skeleton. That is not a collector's piece. That is a medical study device. Because for those who don't know, I'm actually a medical student going to graduate soon. And even as a future doctor, look, I intend to continue to just indulge in these things. I don't think there should be any social limitation to that. You know, I don't find this immature in any way. And I think, yeah, this is just who I am.